on here, and we are good to go. Happy
Nice.
Sunday, everybody. My name is Chaz, of course, but I'm known as a different thing on my label today. I'm the fan of R. So, um, and I have Adam W. Rodriguez, who is R, and this is his channel is the Art of R, and I'm so excited to have him on today. And make sure you subscribe to his channel and check out his art. I've got all his links in the description below, and we will let Adam take it away and tell us about your channel and what you would most like us to know about you.
Awesome. Well, first, thanks for having me. Chaz, this is really cool. This is the first time I've done one of these live streams, so I'm excited. I'm quite excited about all of it. So my channel is kind of all over the place. Like I started off kind of as an art channel. I'm a painter, so I do like a lot of speed art kind of videos, and I was trying to kind of find my footing in the kind of YouTube sphere, YouTubeverse kind of stuff. And I discovered BookTube several months after I had started kind of the art channel. And BookTube, it already had this kind of built-in community. I was already like commenting on people's stuff there, you know what I mean? So I was just like, maybe because I do a lot of reading, and BookTube just felt like a nice, friendly atmosphere to like just kind of get my feet into YouTube. And so far it's been great. I've only been at it like since it's been almost a year. I think I started like July of last with like BookTube stuff. And yeah, I quite like it. You BookTubers are great. I think it's just because you cats are just so laid back. You know what I mean? And you're all like smart. You know what I mean? You'll do a lot of reading. Y'all just, yeah, it's a great community. But my stuff on my channel is all over the place. I do a lot of arts. I talk about kind of my work as a performer because I work in local theater here in Austin, Texas. And I've been trying to find ways to incorporate that into my YouTube more. But yeah, I'm not terribly niche. I'm kind of just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, well, hey, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And BookTube is a great space for people who are creative in general. So I think you picked a good space to land in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think so too.
and you made a lot of
Uh,
fans. I know Nicole was looking forward to joining us today, and
She's right there, Nicole.
yeah, Nicole's book is nerd.
Danger zone. Nice.
I won't be able to stay for all of it, but cool. Wow, glad to have you here, Nicole. Jenny's
So awesome.
here.
All
Hi,
right.
Jenny. And yep, we're chilling like villains. I agree.
So yeah, danger zone. Yeah, like one of the first times me and Nicole kind of like bonded was she found I did that. My blog is called Kenny Vloggins,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and like she just like jumped right on that and was just like, "Oh, danger zone," you know. Yeah, I immediately liked Nicole. She's hilarious.
Yep. Yeah, she is. She's a lot of fun. I'm in the Buttercup crowd. Uh
I too am a buttercup.
yep, I'm there for it.
Yeah,
And I
100%.
also I also when I first saw your Kenny Vloggins, I immediately got the song stuck in my head, Danger Zone. So I get it. That's one of the few really great songs he actually had. I like he only had a handful that really made it big.
Yeah. He did some good stuff with Messina when it was Loggins and Messina. That song, "Your Mama Don't Dance, but
Yeah,
your daddy don't rock and roll."
yeah.
That's Loggins and Messina. And there's a couple of other ones I got. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But when he was working with Messina, I thought he was doing some good stuff. It was kind of that old world like rock and roll. Uh, yeah, it's good stuff. Kenny Loggins. That
Yeah.
and I'm All Right, the one where the gophers dancing in Caddyshack.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
Kenny Loggins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found this great picture of Kenny Loggins with like a crystal ball, and his hair's all
Oh,
blowing in the wind, and
ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I like it.
like if I had the time, man, I want to do like a photo shoot of me with like a glowing crystal ball and a big fan knocking the hair back. You know, a lot of
That would be
backlight.
a cool shot. Yeah, you should totally do that, especially with your Kenny Vloggins motif. You should totally do that for one of your intros. That would be epic.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I really wish I had like just kind of the time and resource to like really beef up my channel like that. You know, like I said, I'm like into theater and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
um, I mean, a lot of my videos feel sort of like they're always very rushed because it's like I've got about a week before I have to do my next one. You know, so you're like, um, yeah, I wish I had that time and that resource to really just like tear into it, lean into it,
Oh
do some more
yeah.
theatrical.
Absolutely, and maybe as your channel grows, you will get that, yeah, because you've got a lot of talent. I would love to see you do like be able to expand more on what you're able to do with it.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, buttercups are in.
All in
Yeah.
so much buttercup.
I did have a question. Is there anything that you don't do creativity wise? You're an artist and performer. You're a zine author. Do you do writing as well, or
Yeah, I
other than the
write.
zine, of
I
course? But
mostly write. Yeah, I mostly write short stuff. I have one novella that I think is like a couple of more drafts before I might start like pitching it around. I'm very slow to act on my writing just because it feels like it's such a slog just trying to get folks to even read it. You know what I mean?
it is.
Um,
I get it.
but yeah, I've got a novella that I wrote. I wrote it in 2016 or 17.
Hmm.
It was during that what do they call it? The NaNoWriMo thing
Oh yeah.
that they do every. So I did that, and um, it was an idea that I had already kind of had rolling around in my head, but it was very much based off of like kind of my early years where I lived in like Galveston adjacent Texas,
Yeah.
which was kind of a haunting place. It's got like some really weird history over there. But I wrote it about me being a kid and kind of experiencing this kind of weird supernatural stuff. And then it got like heavier and more dangerous as the story progressed. And yeah, it's about 150, getting approaching 200 pages novella that I wrote.
Okay.
Um, then I have a sci-fi fantasy that I wrote out, and it's only on its first draft. And like, I actually the other day, I think I was either watching you or Nicole. Like, I know it was one of you two, and y'all had mentioned like your own publications, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go look at that sci-fi fantasy thing that I wrote. And I went back and looked. I was like, yeah, this is not ready for consumption. But,
Well,
first draft.
one day it will be. I fully believe it. Like Nicole says here, you're a Renaissance kind of man, so you've got a lot of irons in the fire. So I understand. One of these days, though, I bet you'll hit it big.
Yeah, yeah. If I can garner the courage to try to get it published, I think that's
Right?
a problem.
It's a
But also,
it's a
go ahead.
daunting thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's. I mean, that's why I admire folks who do publish their works. I think it's great. You know, I need to get my hands on a copy of Talendor's Guest and read that bad boy.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of fun to write, and I look back on it and I see a lot of the mistakes I made, but
Man,
it was fun anyway.
was that your first publication?
It was, yeah. Well, actually,
Awesome.
no, I take that back. I did write a couple of like, well, I released two books of that used to be blog posts, and then I kind of
Mm-hmm.
reorganized them and reformatted them and put it out on Amazon as well. So one is thinkable things that I have thought, and then the other one is I forget the name of the other one. Something having to do with dragons. So on my writing journey and stuff like that. So yeah, so
Nice.
I released those as well, and but
How long were those? Were they novellas or full on
oh
novels or
yeah,
short stories?
those are maybe 100 pages. Um, yeah, yeah, really short ones.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dragons, man. Dragons are the best.
Oh yeah, dragons are. They are. Yeah, definitely
So,
my favorite fantasy creature.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I delve into a lot of that old world research on dragons, and yeah, it's a rabbit hole that is endless. Like that, you'll never hit the bottom of that. There's
Right.
just so much.
Exactly. And there's so many ways to do dragons too. So yeah. Yeah.
Do you mostly?
Dan is here. Hey, how's it going? Good to
Hi,
see
y'all.
you. RC Scott is here. Woo!
Yes, yes. See Scott, rock and roll. Awesome, awesome. Oh wait, I can see the comments over here. I gotta figure out. I've never done a live, so I'm just now like, oh look, I can see
Hey,
you
it's
here.
all good, man. I always try. I try my best to put most of them on the screen. I usually end up missing a few, but yeah, yeah. We've got a good group. They get pretty active when they get on my streams. So I love all the
Nice, nice.
conversation that goes on, and everybody feel free if you have questions for Adam to pop them on, and I'll make sure we get to them.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what is your favorite fantasy creature? Is it dragons or is it
Oh,
something else?
I mean, I do love me some dragons. My favorite fantasy creature. Um, I do enjoy demons, especially when they're done well. Um, I like that demons have just kind of a, a plethora of possibilities. You know what I mean? You know,
Hmm.
ranging from possession to having spikes coming out of their bodies and breathing fire. And I mean, in many ways, like the dragon and the demon are interchangeable. They have a lot of the same qualities.
Yeah, they do. Very true.
I particularly like intelligent dragons, like dragons that have their own agenda beyond the bestial. You know what I mean? Like dragons that are intelligent. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
We're
I like that too.
conversations. That's what I like about demons too. Is we have like conversations. Uh, so yeah, intelligent dragons. Like I believe my first fantasy dragon was probably Smog,
Uh-huh.
that I can like recall as far as like me reading fantasy as a young boy. And like the idea that we were having a conversation in it, that was like blowing my mind. I was like, oh my God, he's talking to this thing.
Right.
That was so great. Uh,
Yeah, Smaug is great. And I really like that I think they did a really good job adapting Smog to the screen too. That was one of the highlights of the otherwise controversial Hobbit adaptation. At least they got Smaug right.
yeah, yes, Smog felt right, definitely. But there was definitely some stuff in that film where I was just like, what? You know what? Like I got over being mad about stuff not being like the book a long time ago. Like I remember when I used to be just like so upset, I'm just like,
Right.
oh. But now like I do enjoy like it's like, well, okay, you guys are thinking outside the box. I guess the box is way the hell over there now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty much torn to shreds at this point. But
I think the only thing that about the Hobbit that made me the most like kind of growl to myself was that the dwarves, half of them look like cool fantasy dwarves, and the other of them look like just kind of short, stocky humans.
right.
And like that was kind of like I was like, oh come on, I really want my dwarves to be dwarves, man.
Right.
But
Exactly. Um,
Nicole was asking me what my least favorite,
yep.
fantasy creature. Man, that's a good question. What my least favorite? Um, hmm. I I don't like orcs in general. because I don't like the idea of a race that is like wholly evil. You know what I mean? Like you're born like an evil thing. You know what I mean? Like I guess I understand it with demons. They're extraplanar. You know what I mean? They come from like evil worlds, evil planes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something about like I've always like I remember when I was reading Lord of the Rings. At one point in the back of my head, I was just like hoping for like them to run into some rogue orc that wasn't bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started playing D&D when I was playing when I was reading Lord of the Rings. You know, I was like 11, 12 years old, starting to play D&D, and that was the first thing I did was create like this little group of orcs that were like good guys, and all my players were just like ready to absolutely destroy them. You know, and they were like, you know, like raising a puppy. You know what I mean? They're being all like sweet. They're like, I am torn. I cannot lead these very nice orcs. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would probably be my least favorite. What's your least favorite creature?
Oh, my least favorite? Boy, I don't know. Do I have one? Uh, yeah, I don't know that I have one, honestly. Yeah. I'm pretty cool with all fantasy creatures. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah. Yeah, I'm not super picky. I just know dragons are my highlight, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, dragons are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. I'll have to think on that. I might have to get back to you on that. How
Yes.
about a demon that rides dragons? Oh, yeah, there you go.
So here, yes,
I want a
please
book
give
that
me
has
1,000.
exactly that. Okay, wait up. Hold my beer. I'll write it. Oh
Nice.
yeah, maybe we can get Chaz to write it. Okay, well, there we go.
That's
That's a challenge for my next book.
nice. Demons riding dragons. So metal.
Yeah,
So
that
awesome.
would be metal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Legolas part was
In The
yeah,
Hobbit, probably.
yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mirkwood in general was kind of a disappointment.
I agree. Yeah. I dig a centaur, but not too far. Okay, yeah, Dan, I can see that. Yeah, mer people are kind of meh. Yeah, that's I can see that. Unless they're written by Lovecraft. He has some pretty gnarly mer people.
And so does Greek
Yeah,
mythology. Like
yeah,
their mer people
yeah,
are murdery and lure you to your death kind of creatures. And
yeah.
yeah, like nice mer people is kind of weird. But here I am like complaining about orcs being evil, and I'm like, what? But your mer people cannot, whatever.
Right. And we, as Jenny points out, we do have a nice orc in, or at least nice-ish, like she says in Legends and Lattes. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it.
But I've been seeing a lot of folks commenting on that book, and it looks delightful. Like
Yeah,
something that I would. It's on my list. I have like a small list ever since I jumped into BookTube. I've started compiling books that I need to buy, and Legends and
hmm
Lattes is on that list.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like werewolves when they're done well, but for the most part, not a huge fan of them. Even though I have a pack in my urban fantasy series. Okay, that's cool. That is very cool.
Nicole,
Yeah, I like werewolves as well.
what's a good? I mean, the question's for you and for Nicole. Like, what is a book that you really like the werewolves in?
Hmm.
Because that's something I've been kind of personally searching for. Because I love werewolves too. Like me and Nicole are on that same wavelength there. Werewolves are awesome. They're great. They're probably one of my favorite of like the kind of classic monsters that you see in movies and media in general. But yeah, like I've been trying to find good werewolf novels or literature. Um, and yeah, like I did, what was that? I did a bunch of like old books. Like we talked about it a little bit. We talked about what do you call it? Wolf Leader by Alexander Dumas.
Yes, yeah,
And it's like this old, like 1850s or 60s written book. Alexander Dumas. It's kind of based off of some old French legends that was very localized. It was kind of close to where he grew up. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I read that, and I read The Werewolf of Paris, which is sort of hailed as the Dracula of werewolf literature.
Yeah, right.
It was really good. What the heck was his name? Guy Endore or Endore wrote
Hmm.
that. And that was like
Okay.
1930s, I think. But yeah, like a lot of folks have mentioned Wagner, the werewolf, and uh, but you know, I've got a copy of The Howling that I'm planning on reading. I've heard it's pretty good. I got a copy of Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. I think me and Nicole talked about Mongrels a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I saw Nicole totally knocking Wolfen on one of her one of her tags like just recently, and I was just like, oh, I was thinking about reading that. Maybe I won't.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't read a whole lot of books with werewolves, honestly. I read Full Moon in the Dresden Files, of course, which deals with the werewolf, and the werewolf in that one is decent. It's not great, but it's decent. But I haven't read a whole lot. I have wanted to read Wolf Leader. Fun story. My good friend Tracy took um, did a master's degree in fantasy with Kevin J. Anderson, and
Cool.
actually, it was a master's degree in publishing. I take that back. So, and part of their final project was they had to take a book from the public domain and re-release it. Uh, and so they re-released it under Kevin J. Anderson's imprint, and so it's out on Amazon, and you can purchase. It's a brand new updated version of it. But yeah, I've been wanting to read that one as well. But yeah,
It was pretty
werewolves
neat.
are tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I liked it. It was definitely the kind of old world concept of a werewolf. Um, it's not what a lot of folks expect werewolf wise. You know what I mean? Like some guy gets bit and he's kind of sweating it till the next full moon,
Yeah,
kind of a vibe. And neither one of those books that I mentioned really had that element. They were more like curses or deals with dark agents, like
hmm,
devil, stuff like that. So Wolf Leader had like a very like fairy tale esque quality to it,
hmm,
uh, and like I've only read I've read an abridged version of the Three Musketeers, so that's my only other real experience with Dumas. And his narrative style uh, in that, which was gosh, it was a long time ago before I was really even like trying to like you know study narrative style per se, but like the narrative style has definitely changed. Like there was one that was very like kind of an author telling a story, and then there was chunks that felt like it was a person telling a story to like a younger audience. You know, like a fairy tale style story. You know what I mean?
right.
Kind of bounce between the two. It kind of it felt disjointed a bit,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
did enjoy it.
Nicole said she has a hard time thinking of good ones as well, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot out there. Selkies and Kelpie. Oh, I've heard of the Knucklebee. Yeah, yeah, those are some creepy
is that the
creatures.
horse that you like stick to and it like drowns you?
I
No, I think that's the kilt.
no, yeah, yeah, it's not. I'm trying to remember the specifics on the Knucklebee, but I recently heard about it somewhere. Um,
Yeah, kelpie is just like a water thing that drags you down. Like it's anyway. Like I've definitely dipped my toe into some of that
yeah,
literature with selkies. Like on the subject of mer folk and mer people. So like one of the concepts that I had when I first started my channel was I wanted to do like a series based off of like monsters that are in like Universal Monsters categories. You know, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman.
yeah,
But Creature of the Black Lagoon is in that pantheon, right? And I was
yeah,
having so much trouble finding like the kind of gill man monster in older literature. I was trying to find something foundational with gill creatures, right? And
right,
all I could find was stuff like merfolk, mermaids, and stuff like that. But like the first Gill man that I could find like in the timeline was Lovecraft. It was like Deep Ones.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything prior that was like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it exists somewhere. You know, my research is very limited, but like, I'd be curious. I was thinking about doing a video just like asking the YouTube universe, like, hey, find me Gill people, find me old literature with Gill people. I want to read it really bad.
Yeah, that would be really cool to find some.
Yeah,
Jenny says her favorite werewolves are actually the movie Dog Soldiers. I have not
that
seen
is
that.
a rad movie. That is so good. It is really, really good. It's got to be one of my favorite werewolf movies of all time as well. American Werewolf in London, good werewolf movie, because it plays it's comedic. There are parts that are just like genuinely make you laugh, but the werewolf is so terrifying. Oh my gosh! And the transformation scene is a scene that I'll never forget. Like I used to have nightmares about that sequence. It came out in the
I'm a huge
'80s.
fan of the Underworld movies.
Oh yeah, they're good.
Oh,
I like them.
yeah.
Very comic book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very cinematic.
Yeah,
I like that
definitely.
a lot.
They usually make them shapeshifters now. Yeah, that's right, Nicole. They do. That's true. It's not really your classic turning only at the full
Werewolf.
moon anymore.
Yeah, right. But even the full moon thing, like I'm curious as to where that came from. Like I don't think that was part of the original werewolf lore. You know, there was like some of the oldest stuff I read. There was a case, a trial for this guy that lived in like old Germany. I want to say in the 1700s, late 1700s, maybe. His name was Peter Stube or Stube or something like that. But in that, they talked about him making a pact with the devil, and the devil gave him this wolf pelt that he would don, and it would turn him into a wolf. You know what I mean? So like some of those, they would like werewolves were like witches. You know what I mean? They would find people and accuse them of being werewolves, kind of like they did with witches.
Yeah.
Back in the old world.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd be curious to find out where the full moon thing came from. Now I keep wanting to say full moon, and I'm like, no, it's full moon. Yeah, it's
The
full
fool,
moon
the most foolish of moons. Such a fool, Moon. Why are you such a...
Hey, Drew, good to see you. Oh, Phased. Okay, I haven't heard of Phased. Have you read that one, Adam?
Oh, that's a book. Okay. No, I have not. I don't know that one.
I'm guessing it's a book anyway.
I'm gonna write that down right now.
I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna pop in on Amazon here and see.
Check it out.
Yeah, Phase.
Nice. Books of Blood. What was his name? John over at Books of Blood. He did several videos about werewolves, and some of them, like I have a small list somewhere around here of just werewolf recs that he was doing. Some of them sound really. He has some really good ones that were like set in the Old West, and I was just like, well, there you go. I must read that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely be a unique setting for a werewolf story.
I love the idea of Old West horror. It needs to be tapped more. Give me more of that.
Right. Let's see, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, but Buffy's a great show. I love that show.
Yeah. It took me a while to finally like Buffy, but once I finally sat down and watch it with like friends, I ate it all up.
Yeah, definitely. Mongrels is pretty good. Okay. Haven't heard of a lot of these. I haven't heard from.
Mongrels is Stephen Graham Jones, and I just recently read my first Stephen Graham Jones last year, and that was The Only Good Indians. It was really good, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Mongrels. I bought Mongrels like right after I read Only Good Indians.
That's cool. I forgot about Lupin in Harry Potter. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot. Yeah, I really liked his character.
Nice. Yeah, me too. Azkaban's probably one of my favorite of the stories in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mentors. Yeah, yeah. Sirius Black. Oh,
Yeah. I
I've never read the.
I didn't necessarily. So I like uh my ex-wife at the time we were still married. She was reading the Twilight series, so I tried like the first few pages, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do this. But I did see the first couple of movies as well, and I didn't have a problem necessarily with the werewolves, but do not give me shiny vampires. No, no, those aren't vampires. I'm sorry. That's my beef with Twilight is the vampires.
Oh
Oh
man,
yeah,
shiny.
but I mean I got to respect those books. I mean they created a huge fandom and a lot of offshoots as well. And
Wasn't Shades of wasn't was it called Shades of Grey?
yeah, it was kind of a fan fiction, but not based on Twilight.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Then they switched it
at
around
least
so it could be
when
its own
she
thing.
initially set out, I think she was going to make it a fan fiction of Twilight. I'm like, that's that went a very interesting direction from starting out as a Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, right. I have not read Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I know plenty of
Go
people
on,
who
Adam.
did and got
Oh.
some jollies. So you know,
I have watched most of the movies though, because my niece will definitely go into these weird phases where she's like, "I need to watch all of these or all of these," and like
okay,
I'm usually her like movie buddy. So like we'll sit down and like just hammer through a bunch of stuff. She's
nice.
going through a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle phase right now, and I couldn't be happier because I'm watching a
Oh
whole
yeah,
bunch of
Ninja Turtles is awesome. I can't wait for the new movie.
it. It looks so good, and it's
Yeah,
got
and
Jackie Chan is Splinter,
I
man.
know
How awesome is
that
that?
was great. Jackie Chan's
Yeah,
amazing.
I love me some
So
Jackie Chan.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the original Karate Kid movies, especially the first two. But I have to say, Jackie Chan in the new Karate Kid movie with well, it's not new anymore, but with J,
It's like Will Smith.
Jaden Smith, yeah, Will Smith's son. That was a good
Yeah,
movie.
made me cry.
Oh yeah,
Made me cry. Jackie Chan is an amazing actor.
yeah,
Yeah,
he really is.
so good.
Yeah, Men at Arms. Okay,
Oh, that's a Pratchett, right?
I am not. Wait, have I read that one yet? So I read. Oh yeah,
Because I know
yeah.
from the
No, I
movies,
did. I read Men at Arms. Yeah, yeah, I did.
that's Pratchett.
Yeah, that's Pratchett. I haven't
Okay.
finished the City Watch series, but I read the first two books, so I did read Men at Arms. Yeah, yeah. That I forgot about the
Yeah, I just
werewolf in
finished.
that book. That was a lot of fun actually.
Yeah, I just finished the first one. I finished Guards in into January or something like that,
Hmm.
and I liked it a lot. Yeah, like Pratchett's interesting, man. I think part of my problem reading Pratchett is that I'm like a comedian. So like when a joke doesn't land for me, like I some for some stupid reason kind of take it personally.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I think I'm just more critical of when jokes don't land. It's like when I watch Saturday Night Live and like one skit will just like rock it and I'll be like laughing my head off. And then all the rest of the skits for the night are just kind of like, oh, okay, that's fine, I guess, that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
like I think that's what it is with me and Pratchett.
Okay.
Some of the jokes in the first book were just awesome. Like my favorite part of Guards. Spoilers if anybody's hasn't read it or whatever. But there's this one part where Carrot, who is probably by far my favorite character in that first book, he was so great.
Great.
But Carrot goes to this dwarf bar where all the dwarves are like rowdy and just beating the crap out of each other and stuff like that. And apparently dwarves, when they're at home, are very polite and peaceful people. So he goes and just like shames all these dwarves while they're in there just brawling. And it's just like, what would your mothers think? And blah, blah, blah. These
Right.
dwarves just like totally toned it down. One of them starts crying. into his
Yeah.
beer, and I was just like, this is perfect. This is a great moment.
Yeah. My favorite is I think it didn't I think it was in Men at Arms. Oh, well, now you haven't read it, so I can't spoil it. So,
Honestly, spoilers don't bother me. But if you
okay.
want to talk about
So yeah, spoilers for anybody who's listening. My favorite part, and I'm pretty sure it was Men at Arms, is Carrot reading the Declaration to swear in new members, and you know it has the blanks like so you know it'll say um, uh, you know I so and so, and then it'll say uh, name goes here, and he'll read it literally. So he's like reading along, and I name solemnly swear, and he goes on. He just reads it literally without putting in the names of the new recruits, and it's so hilarious. Oh my goodness!
yeah, see, that's the component that's always the same. It's Carrot. Carrot
Right?
is like he's
Yeah,
such a great
Garrett's
character.
great.
I
I
love
like
it.
the Dogfather as well, but on the whole, Terry Pratchett has kind of been hit or miss for me. But
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
read a
I
lot of
think it's
them yet.
because some jokes lands and some jokes don't. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see. Shapeshifter. Oh, so talking about werewolves. Okay. Yeah. Okay,
Those
got
things.
it. Knuckleby
Interesting.
looks like a skeletal person fused to a skeletal horse.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, it is the one
yeah.
with those things are freaking terrifying. I've seen some great art of those, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that's some nightmare fuel.
Right. Let's see.
So good.
Evil mermaids.
Yes. I prefer my mermaids evil, or just like eating and drowning people, but
Right.
or siren like.
Yeah, I like that too. I like the siren types.
Oh, that's right. Didn't the Harry Potter mermaids weren't they a little drownedy?
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about it. It's been so long since I read those books. I need to. It's time for a reread.
Right.
Into the Drowning Deep is my favorite book with mermaids. Okay, very
Okay.
cool.
I might check that stuff out too. I'm gonna put that down
Yeah.
here on my.
Oldest known mention of something like werewolves would be the Epic of Gilgamesh. Oh, really?
Interesting. You mean like Enkidu is the werewolf, like the wild man concept? Or is there an actual werewolf in it? I think they've got a wolf. It's been forever since I read Gilgamesh.
I have not read Gilgamesh, so unless you you know count the ripoff in the sorry, I won't get into religion. Um, um,
Oh, right, right.
yeah, but I have not read the Epic of Gilgamesh at all. So uh,
Yeah, The
Greek
Legend of
mythology.
Lyciana.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I've heard of that one. I haven't read it.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
guy who eats human flesh, and then I think Zeus punishes him by turning him into a wolf,
Okay. Yeah.
if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I read that within the last year or two, reading or retouched on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Jenny says that Phased is Tori's book. Have you watched Tori Talks?
I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
I did not realize that was her.
Okay,
Oh,
awesome.
I see the one we're talking. I saw two different ones on Amazon, and it's not the one I was looking at. Okay, now I recognize it. Yeah, yeah. If
Nice.
you get a chance to check out Tori Talks, yeah, she's an author as well. I forgot that was the name of her book. So
And it's in the SFBO. I'm not familiar with that. I know Nicole was talking about one of her books getting into that as well this year.
yeah, Nicole put one of her books in the SPFBO for sure. So yeah, I love that Mark
So,
Lawrence does that. By the way, that's really cool. Um,
talks about
Norse
werewolves
Saga of
too.
Volsons. Oh man, we're gonna be adding a
Okay,
bunch of
what about
books
that
to our
one?
list, aren't we?
Yeah, right. And the Norse Saga of the Volsungs. Is that just straight up mythology? Are we talking about like berserkers and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, that's a
Because I
good
know
question.
berserkers have like a bear wolf kind of element to their lore as well.
Okay.
But that's awesome. Saga of the
Yeah.
Ball Saws. Nice.
Favorite Universal monster?
Ooh, that's a great question. Okay, so like visually, it's definitely the Creature of the Black Lagoon. I just love looking at that monster. Um, I mean, story wise, I gotta go with Dracula, man. Dracula is so good. I love the concept. I love the story. Yeah, Dracula is still my favorite. Like I just love the imagery about it. But
That's cool.
visually, definitely the Creature of the Black Lagoon. Though I just love looking at it. And actually, that story was pretty good too. It's more of an original script. I saw that there is a novelization of the movie. But every time I find it anywhere online, it's like over $50. Like it's a rare
Really?
book. It's
Oh,
really
wow.
expensive. I don't think it's like in print anywhere. So I think they're just like old collectors things. But I wanted to read it. Those was like, well, I can't find any Guild Creature stuff. Give me this novelization. I'll read that. And
Right.
yeah, I'm like, but I'm not going to pay 50, $60 for a book unless I really know it's good.
Yeah. What year was it written in?
That's a good question, and I don't know if I'd be able to answer it accurately. Or I
I'm
know
just
I wouldn't be able
wondering
to
if
answer
it's
it
in the.
accurately.
I'm just wondering if it's public domain yet.
Oh, um, maybe it might be on the cusp of public domain by now.
Yeah. Interesting.
It isn't.
So I have a confession to make, and let the shaming and the tossing of spoiled fruit begin. I have not watched any of the Universal monster movies.
Well, I mean, they're old black and whites. All of us were born like well after those bad boys came out.
Yeah, I
Um,
like black and white classics, though. I really do. I just don't. I've never watched them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how well they've aged. I can't remember the last time I watched a Universal monster movie.
Right.
Uh, uh, there was a uh, it wasn't Elvira, but it was like one of those old, like there's like a guest host showing you old horror films, and that's where I watched them. I can't remember who it was.
Okay.
Anyway, it might have even been local or something like that because they were just like showing old black and white films.
Nice.
But that's how I watched them. It was like on an old TV, probably back in the late '80s, early '90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Pretty sure the Shadowhunter books started as Harry Potter fan fiction. Really? I did not know that. I haven't read those books, but Cassandra Clare's a really popular author, so uh,
Nice.
yeah. But I did not know that. Books I will
Cool.
never read: Twilight and 50 Shades.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm totally right there.
Yep, I'm there with
I
you
will
too,
listen to
Drew.
I'll listen to reviews and opinions, but I'm probably not gonna sit down and read those
Yeah,
myself.
it's funny. When I worked for a different company, one of my coworkers that worked right in the cubicle right next to me, she had her copy of 50 Shades of Grey proudly displayed on her desk. I'm like, okay, nice. I'm glad you're enjoying that.
I want you to know that I'm reading erotica over here.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, they're really popular and they've made a lot of money, and so yeah, got a pumped respect for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've watched the movies, but oh, Carrot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Carrot's
Carrot's.
easily my favorite character in the books. Although
Oh,
Vimes is my second. Vimes is a close second for me.
yeah, he's got that kind of tragic hero feel that I will always be there for. Yeah, very human. Good and bad things happen to him almost simultaneously. You know what I mean? Like he's a great character.
Right?
I will say that my heart warms every time Carrot's name is mentioned. Though, like I'm just like, oh, good, some Carrot.
Right.
There's something about the wholesomeness of Carrot that is just like so attractive. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's so wholesome and naive and in a lot of ways, and it's just yeah, it's great. The
Outwardly
protective
kind and
device.
of the cup, right?
Detritus, don't salute. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there's some brilliant stuff.
I need to finish the City Watch books. I really do, and I want to read the Death books, and I do want to read a lot of them. I just I've had some hits and misses. So
There was a I want to say BBC did it. I'm pretty sure it was on British TV, but it was The Watch. They did a version of it, and
yeah,
I liked it. I thought it was really good.
yeah. I heard a
The
lot of
cat that
mixed reviews on it, but I've heard that some people really enjoyed it. I didn't see it. Um,
I did. I'm an easy crier
yeah.
when I'm watching stuff that's like trying to make you cry. I'm just like weeping.
Yep, that's me too.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I definitely cried a lot watching that. But the cat that plays Vimes is the same guy that played in Game of Thrones. He was the oh god, he was the guy with like one eye. He was one of the Brothers of the Banner or Brothers Without Banners guys. He was
Oh
that,
yeah, yeah. He
that
played.
holy man that had been resurrected a million times.
Oh yeah,
You know who I'm talking about?
yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. I thought he looked familiar in the trailers, but I'm like,
He
where have I
played
seen
Vimes.
him?
And he was such a polar opposite of character. Like I was just like, who the hell is this guy? He's totally familiar. And then like my roommate was like, that's the dude from Game of Thrones. And he had this wonderful like comedic physicality. Like he was using his body so well. Like it was yeah, he was a joy to watch. He was my favorite part of that. And it's funny because he was my favorite character in the show. Like Carrot was fine in the show. I think that's probably one of the reasons why like I have different feelings because like Vimes, the tragic like nature of Vimes really plays out well in the series, and the kind of naive wholesomeness of Carrot didn't quite land as well.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, and that's gonna bug me now who he played in Game of Thrones because I know exactly who it is, but it's right on the tip of my tongue. And funny enough, there was a movie made a few years before that. I'm not sure. Oh, no, it was the television version of I think it was of the Hogfather, or it was one of the other movies that was made of Terry Pratchett's stuff, and what's his name that played Tywin Lannister, Charles Dance, played
Oh,
Vimes. Like
okay.
he was an older Vimes, but oh no,
Huh.
never mind, it wasn't Vimes. He played the patrician. Yeah, he played
Oh,
the
okay.
patrician.
I'm pretty sure I watched that. There
Yeah.
was like this really cool. I think they did like three of them. I know they did Color of Magic, where Sean Astin
Yeah.
played the tourist.
Okay.
Then there was Hogfather, and I want to say there was a third one because I remember eating those up. Like I saw the Color of Magic, and I was just like, "This is great! I hope there's a million of these." And I think there's three. I think they did a trilogy. I know they did Hogfather. And I want to say they did another one, but maybe I'm just thinking about different parts of Color of Magic.
Yeah, it could be. I know. I think there have been several adaptations of Pratchett's stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of them.
Tim
There
Curry
was
was one of
also
the
in
wizards.
Vines. What's that?
Tim Curry was one of the wizards. I remember that. They had a
Oh,
bunch of really cool actors. I think Christopher Lee was doing the voice of Death, if I'm not mistaken.
oh, that would have been epic right there. I
Yeah,
need me some Christopher Lee as Death.
yeah, totally.
I
It
I
like
need
almost
I
goes
need that.
without saying. You have anybody else playing Death other than Christopher Lee, you should be embarrassed, right?
Right. Yeah, with the exception of in Good Omens, the guy who voices Death in that is pretty epic as well.
Who's that? Who's doing that one?
Um, he played.
I saw the first season. It was really good.
Let's see, Death, Good Omens. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's Brian Cox.
Oh, Brian Cox.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he's great.
yeah,
Great voice.
yeah. He's awesome. So he was yeah, he was Death in Good Omens, and that's another great book. But of course, that one was written with Neil Gaiman, which made it equally great.
Yeah, I have got it on my shelf. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, so
Now I'm going to make a confession.
good.
I have yet to read a novel by Neil Gaiman.
Oh wow.
I've got two
Well,
of his
that's
books
the
on
end
my
of the
shelf.
string. That no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's it. That's bye. Judge me so hard. Yeah. I did read Sandman, so, but
Okay.
I didn't read Eva's novels. I've got
Okay.
a copy of Neverwhere. I've got a copy of Good Omens, and I got a copy of American Gods. But
Okay.
I
Cool.
haven't cracked them yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Sandman is awesome. So I mean you read what really put him on the map. So that's important.
Totally.
So
Totally.
yeah.
It's good stuff.
Uh
Really good stuff.
1920s Dracula, did you see it, Adam?
I mean, if we're referring to the Bela Lugosi Dracula, then yes,
Oh
I've
yeah,
watched that many. I'm pretty sure that's the one that was in the 20s.
probably so. Was that was Nosferatu, right?
Oh well, Nosferatu. Oh, it might have been earlier than that.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, Nosferatu is super early. I remember when I was doing my research for my Dracula review, I remember being kind of shocked as to how close Nosferatu came out as to when Dracula came out. Because Dracula was published in like 1897,
Right.
like a couple of years before the century. And it was very possible that um, Stoker was still alive when Nosferatu came out.
Right.
Um, I remember it being a big deal because they sued them like when they created Nosferatu. Um, it was the Dracula story, and they're just like, "That's our story. What are you doing?" And they it got suppressed like big time. It's one of the reasons why it's so hard to find. Um, you know, but yeah, I want to say, shucks, man, it might have been the 19 teens, late 19 teens,
Okay.
or very early 1920s when that came out.
And
If you're talking about the Max Schreck 1920s Dracula, Nicole, yes, I've seen that many times, and it's great. It's great. Very atmospheric. Yeah, super cool.
I heard that they are making a remake of Nosferatu with Willem Dafoe.
Yes, and somebody's daughter that's like associated with creepy things. Who was it?
Oh, is it Coppola? Coppola's daughter?
Maybe. Oh, shucks. It's been yeah. I remember seeing a poster for it.
Okay. Yeah,
But I can't remember whose
I'm
daughter.
very excited. I mean, I can totally see Dracula vibes rolling off of Willem Dafoe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
Did you watch? Did you watch Shadow of the Vampire
I
with
haven't.
Willem Dafoe?
I
Okay,
haven't.
so it's a great movie. It's about the filming of Max Schreck's Dracula or Nosferatu,
Oh,
right? But uh, the Nosferatu is an actual vampire. Like the director wanted like something like so real in the film. He found Dracula. He found a Nosferatu to play the role of Nosferatu. It's awesome. It's got John Malkovich and Eddie Izzard
uh-huh.
in it. Oh shoot, what does Eddie Izzard want to call themselves now? I can't remember. They have a new name. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, Eddie Izzard plays like the Harker character in it, or the actor that plays Harker in it, and
Okay.
it's a delightful movie. It's really really good. A good combination of like funny and super creepy, and Defoe just nails it.
That's cool. Yeah, well, I really I recently I don't know if you've seen Nightmare Alley. It's
No.
it's a really good movie. It came out last year, I think. Willem Dafoe is in it, and it's about a guy who makes it big time as a mentalist. And
Oh,
yeah, it's a
okay.
really good flick. But yeah, I've liked Willem Dafoe in most stuff I've seen him in. So
Yeah. Even his terrible movies, I enjoy him in it.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Love books
He's a great
based
actor.
on mythology. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Shame. Oh yeah, yeah. I know. Not having seen the Universal monsters. I know, Drew. I'll go bury my head in the sand now. Yeah, Bela Lugosi is
Mel is
great.
amazing.
Yeah, he's
He's an
good
interesting
stuff.
story all by himself.
Don't feel bad, Dracula. Chaz, I only just finished reading the book. Oh yeah, I didn't read the book until last year for the first time. Yep, I know.
I have rage quit that book so many times. Like I've picked up Dracula a million times, and it wasn't until I started researching Disco Dracula that I did for this last show
Yeah,
that I was just like, I'm gonna power through this book. I'm gonna try to absorb it, but like I'm gonna get to that rage quit part, and then I'm gonna like, nope, let's keep doing it, you guys.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like right after Lucy's story arc ends, it just starts to drag so hard with this kind of like these interchangeable characters like Harker, Dr. Seward, the Texan, what's his name?
yeah.
Quincy Morris, and then Arthur, the, the widower of Lucy.
Right.
All of those characters are just basically just writing kind of letters about each other, and it's maddening.
Yeah.
Like no story progresses at all. It's just like weird letters about
I
how they
really
like.
enjoyed the book. It was one of my top books of last year, but I think it helped having seen the '90s movie several times because I kind of had a mental picture of what was going on from that movie, and
Right.
it's one of those few times where I'm glad I watched the movie first because the movie actually is a very faithful adaptation of the book. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah.
And Gary Oldman, oh my goodness, that guy is creepy as hell in that movie.
He knows how to do it.
Yeah,
Gary Oldman's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, totally. And you have some imagery you can kind of work with
yeah.
going into the book as well. Um, I
I
definitely
read
watched.
Carmilla for the first time last year as well, and I liked Carmilla better than Dracula.
Same,
Yeah,
same. I read that right before I read Dracula.
I did too.
Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, and for a book as old as it was, because it was like 50 years before Dracula, the
hmm
language was really, really easy. Like Sheridan, what's his name? Chase Sheridan LeFanu.
yeah.
Apparently, he had a pretty decent career writing like ghost stories and stuff like that.
Okay,
And I just recently found this really cool book of it's Roald Dahl, the guy who did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that guy.
right.
He did a anthology book where he found selected ghost stories, uh, and they're all like cool shorts. And I just found that like not too long ago. But LaFanu's got a story in that I'm looking forward to pouring through that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Carmilla was great.
Yeah, Carmilla was very good. I'd definitely be willing to check out some of his other stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of it's really short, from what I understand.
Yeah,
I
and
like that as
I
well.
really liked that it had a fairly favorable representation of a lesbian relationship,
Right,
which was
right.
unheard of for that era.
Yeah, these guys were like they're like Scottish or Irish, one of the two. Anyway, but yeah, like 1820s, 1830s, and describing like a gay relationship in a way that um, isn't utterly negative.
Yeah,
It was refreshing. I thought it was a good book.
yeah, me too. Nicole borrowed Dracula from the library and only gave it 3.5 stars. Okay, yeah,
A bit too much.
I can respect that.
100%.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I like the watch also. Yeah, they did a good casting. Barrett
Times were.
Dondarrion, thank you. Barrett Dondarrion. That,
Oh, okay.
that was
Yes.
from
Okay.
Game of Thrones. Yes, thank you, Jenny. You're a lifesaver, Jenny.
You've had that like pouring in the back of your head this whole time, probably, right?
Yeah, and yeah, Dondarrion was a great character. I really enjoyed him in the show. I like him in the books too. Have you read the books?
Oh, I haven't read any Game of Thrones.
Ooh,
Yeah,
man. I mean, the show was good, and I'm one of those that didn't hate the last few seasons. I mean, they weren't the greatest, but I didn't hate them either. It's
sure.
still an enjoyable show. But oh man, the book. I love the book.
Yeah, I can imagine. I haven't read any Martin like at all.
Yeah.
Like I
He's good. It's
much
well worth reading.
okay. I
They're
almost
they're
I was
chunky
actually
boys though.
yeah, totally. And I think that's part of my thing is like I've been like I have to commit to like longer books. I have to like really like kind of psych myself a little bit.
Right?
I was at half price the other day and I almost picked up the first book. Um, but I ended up picking up a copy of the Death of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie,
Oh
which I haven't
yeah.
read yet. I'm looking forward to that. I've heard it's one of her better ones. And then I picked up a copy of Master and Margarita, which I hear is a really, really cool book.
Oh really? Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it or I haven't read it.
Yeah, yeah. My like Russian literature game is really just so I'm trying to like find some stuff that isn't like a million pages long, but like it's got some acclaim. A lot of folks like it, kind of stuff, and that's one of them. It's got a lot of like humor and darkness in it, which
Ah,
a lot of Russians are like it dark and funny. So
right.
it sounds like my kind of stuff anyway.
That's
I also
good.
picked up a copy of Tales from the Underground by Dostoevsky. Fyodor,
Oh,
but it's also super short. So
okay.
I want to
That's
just,
good to know. I wanted to read some Dostoevsky and oh, what's the other guy? Um, the other popular Russian author. I can't think of the name.
and uh, uh, mm,
But yeah, I'm
uh,
wanting to read Dostoevsky.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't read any of his stuff. It's funny. I had the book with me when I went to go do one of the shows shows that I do. I do this dinner theater show where we play like the Scooby Doo gang, but it's like a parody version of them.
Uh-huh.
And I do Scooby Doo in it. I'm like a puppeteer, and I just like puppet and do like a stupid voice and brr, brr, brr. And but my fellow castmates, one of them is like a hardcore book nerd, and I showed up with notes from the underground, and he came. It's like, oh, this is probably the worst translation of this book, and I was like, oh man, you're like totally shaming me. He's just like, yeah, go get this translation. You're gonna like it a lot better. I'm doing you a favor, Adam.
Oh wow.
He's probably right too. I mean, like he's very well read.
He sounds pretty hardcore.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. But we do like to kind of like get kind of book snobby around each other sometimes, which is a bunch of actors sitting around, well-read folks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But he knows his Russian lit, and I don't. So I'm totally taking his lead on that. Well, yeah,
that's cool.
good stuff.
Yeah, Tolstoy was the other one. That was the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, they do write
Yeah,
some chunky books, don't they, Jenny?
big time, big time. And it's probably what's kept me away from him for a long time.
Yeah, right. We're totally being judged, Adam.
Yeah, dude, I'm making some confessions here, you guys. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't read anything. I don't read stuff.
Ireland and Scotland for the win. I agree. Sláinte. Uh,
Yep.
that's cool.
To my other news. Oh, wonder
Was
what
that
book. Oh, Master and Margarita, maybe.
oh, Match from Margarita? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the cover for it is awesome because it's got like a demonic cat on it. And who doesn't like that? Yeah,
Right.
apparently it's got like it's about like some demon and his like cat familiar that talks. So
Really?
like already I'm like, okay, I'm here for this.
Yeah, I would be
Um,
here for that too. Wow, that's cool. I didn't know anything about it. I just heard the title.
yeah, yeah, I've heard a lot of booktubers talk about it, or at least a few. But like the person, what's her name? The person that like introduced me to Carmilla. Man, what is her name? Like Dakota Warren. I watch her channel, and she does a lot of really cool, like, these are classics that aren't that intimidating kind of books. And she talked about Carmilla and Master Margarita, and yeah, just the synopses sounded really interesting.
Yeah,
So I'm totally down for it.
that's cool. Yeah, I would be too. We Scots are always the coolest. Yeah, yeah. Jenny's in Scotland. Yep.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're in Scotland. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, cat
I
familiars.
mean, we
Cat
love a
familiars are
cat
so cool.
familiar. Yep, cats are the
Yeah.
best for sure.
So
Yeah,
yeah, you've got a cat. How many cats you got? Just the
I
one?
just got the one. Yep, yep. She's enough, and she's a very needy cat. She gives me all the cuddles, and she's always wanting to be cuddled. And my favorite is when I'm sitting at work and I'm trying to type on the keyboard, and she crawls up and she's all in my face. It's great.
Her butt like right in your nose, and you're like, come on now. Really.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Born and raised.
Yeah. I currently have a dog. I just my last cat, he passed in 2019. I'd had him for 21 years. 21-year-old buddy. He was a good boy. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. His name was Cheng. I named him after Bruce Lee from the Fist of Fury.
Oh, nice.
And he was such a great cat. Yeah, he was my little dragon. He was a good boy.
Huh, that's cool. We've officially or upcoming, we've been tagged in a cat book tag. So
nice. Is that Nicole's? Okay, nice.
I wonder if I've done that one. I've done one or two tags with cats, so I may have already done it, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing it, Nicole.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about Disco Dracula. I am so I'm like if I could fly to Austin just to see you in Disco Dracula, I would totally do it. I can't, unfortunately, but I would totally do it.
So I work with a Commedia dell'arte troupe.
Okay.
So it's very busker street theater style, very like carnival outdoor style theater. Very large characters. We call it human cartooning because it's based in clown and outdoor style theater stuff. So everything is kind of over the top. And our last few shows, our most successful shows, have been these kind of blends of two concepts, right? We just got through doing, like last year, we did one called Raising Harry Potter. Nice. Which was Raising Arizona, the story arc of Raising Arizona, except the baby is young Harry Potter put at the doorstep of the Dursleys, and then this young couple comes in and picks him up and runs off with him. And then, madness and madcap ensues. But it's very reminiscent of the Coen brothers, Raising Arizona. And then we did like a lot of other random like overtones of other Coen brothers movies throughout the show. It was a lot of fun. And then the one that we did before that was really successful was called Cthulhu Beach Party, where it's like the old beach party movies from the 50s, but done in the setting of H.P. Lovecraft.
Wow.
So it's all like dark doom and gloom with all these kids like partying on the beach and singing songs about, surfing and all that kind of shit, while people are getting dragged to the inky black depths. Anyway, it was a lot of fun too. So in this one, we combined, disco era with Dracula. And yeah, it was really cool. We tried to use some of the story work in Dracula itself. The characters that we ended up using were Dracula, Lucy, Renfield, and then we combined Mina and Victor Frankenstein into one character. And she's the one who creates a guy named Vic, who is basically, he's based off of John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever, but he's made up of all of the dead dancers that I've murdered in my disco. So he's been cobbled together of all these badass dancers. He's this guy who really wants to get into the club, but he can never quite make it in because he's not cool enough. So at the top of the show, Dracula murders him and beheads him, and then goes about his day. And then Mina finds his head, takes it to her lab, and puts it on top of these body parts that she's been turning into a Frankenstein, right? And then when he comes to, and she can't. She discovers that she can't run them on electricity like Frankenstein because it keeps frying the body parts. So the only thing that keeps him going is cocaine. So he's like this guy who's like hopped up on like some serious coke throughout the whole show. It's very adult. Everything is adult. Like it's adult cartoon stuff. There's a lot of, but we don't like cuss in it. But there's a lot of innuendo and clowning and poking, stuff like that. Like this show, I pelvic thrusted so much in this show that I was like sore. Like my hips were like sore. I'd come off stage. I'm like, 5 more minutes of show would have been too much, guys.
Right.
But anyway, that's pretty much like the setup, and then it all kind of goes to hell after that. Like the Lucy story is probably the only story from Dracula that's remotely intact.
Okay.
Going from like this kind of kind-hearted person who becomes this really dark, sinister figure by the end of the show, and we are a clown show, but one of our tenets is that we need gravity in there because it makes the funny funnier.
Yeah.
If there is stuff that is like grounded, dark, tragic, things like that, because then it's just kind of funny without any, hills and valleys of content. You know what I mean? So always try to add something, something either tragic or just something very grounded in it to make the ungrounding better. Right?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And it sounds amazing. But before you brought it up, I was going to ask you if Saturday Night Fever was part of it. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I did some pretty deep dives into just like the history of disco and stuff like that. Apparently, Saturday Night Fever was written by a cat who's like from Britain, who only read about disco. He didn't really go to these clubs. Like he may have done some sort of version of it there in Britain, but he wasn't a New York disco guy. You know what I mean? He's a guy who read articles and then he wrote a script. So like when I was reading about it, like after Saturday Night Fever came out, then it like really, really popularized the phenomenon, the cultural element of what it was.
Right.
So, because before that, it was largely people of color or the gay community were the ones who kind of created it.
Oh.
And then after Saturday Night Fever, it just kind of got flooded with with folks that normally weren't part of that scene, and it, kind of got drowned out.
It sounds amazing, and like Jenny says, it sounds like an awesome fever dream.
Yeah, and intermix all of that story with just a lot of random like dance numbers, the whole crew doing stuff in unison. It was a lot of fun. It got a really great reaction from just the community in general. So we're proud of it. We're very proud of it.
Yeah,
we're talking about taking it to a couple of other places in October because it's a great October show.
Yeah.
Looking forward to like relaunching it.
Very cool. That's awesome. Well, if you guys ever take it on the road, come to Phoenix. I'll be the first person in line to buy a ticket.
I bet you guys got a pretty decent theater community over there.
We do. Yeah, there's a pretty big community here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, especially at ASU, and also downtown Phoenix has become very artsy. So
Yeah, because we've been talking to other companies and talking about doing like a swap where we offer the theater we work in for a short run, and then we go to each other's city of origin, and like we do something over here, they do something here in Austin, and you know what I mean.
yeah,
That's something that we've been trying to like get done, but there's only so many of us doing the admin, and yeah, it takes a lot of work.
yeah, it sure does. Yeah, a
But
lot of work, a lot of planning. So yeah, yeah, I get it.
we build our own show, right? Like we come up with the concept and we do what's called devised theater, where all the actors sit down and write our own show.
Oh,
So like
that's
it's
cool.
all original. The script is 100% created by the performers.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a a collaborative script that we all build. Now usually like myself and the artistic director get together and build like the framework, like the bones of the thing. We're like, this is part, we here's A, B, C, D, blah blah blah, and then we finally end up here at Z, and so the actors at least have like some parameters, like you need to go from here to here by the end of this scene, and we build it into French scenes and stuff like that. So,
Wow, that
yeah,
sounds amazing.
yeah, so we get to like exercise a lot of chops. You get to perform, you get to write, you get to do some of your design, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent.
It's a
Uh,
lot of fun.
reminds me of Vampires Rock. They did cheesy vampire shows set around rock music and were really fun to watch. Interesting. I haven't heard of that. Have you heard of that one?
Is that like a TV show or something?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a TV show or what, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, yeah. I like the sound of all of that.
Yeah. What's your favorite theater production?
Oh man, you mean like of stuff that I've seen, or
Yeah, stuff that you've seen.
man, shoot, that's a really hard question. I mean, we're talking about like near 40 years of watching shows, and oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, okay, just recently, one of these shows that I just recently watched, it was a clown show, one person,
Yeah.
and it was absolutely amazing. It was called In the Beginning, and she did this thing where it was ambiguous as to what the character was. She blew up two sex dolls that were like, one was like obviously a dude, one was obviously a lady, and they were kind of representing Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And it was just her kind of clowning around in this kind of bare set, but her clowning was just so damn funny. Yeah, I mean, being able to watch some of these shows just really, really makes me want to up my game. And yeah, her show was great. It's called In the Beginning. I don't know, man. Like I've seen some really good stuff. I often find that when I pay like a lot of money for a ticket, I tend to be underwhelmed. Like a lot of the $80 tickets and $100 tickets shows that I've watched, um, they're wonderful productions. They're great, but there's a level of intimacy that goes away.
Yeah.
But when you're in a room of like 300 seats, 70 seats, um, it's way more intimate, and it feels like the experience feels more. It just means more, I guess. You know what I mean? Like so I prefer like local stuff where guys don't have giant budgets and it's just actors acting their hearts out, and designers who have like a budget of $100, who pull off these amazing sets, amazing. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
because I know how the sausage is made on a lot of these kind of productions, I find that some of these minimals that I do watch where I'm just like, this is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. This is amazing,
Yeah.
Your budget was this? What? Really? How the hell did you pull that off? You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know, dude. That's a really hard question to answer as
Oh
far as
yeah.
like,
I can respect that. I haven't seen a lot of live theater. I did go to most of the school plays when I was in high school. And so I grew up in southern Utah. So the in Cedar City, the Utah Shakespearean Festival was huge. So every
Yeah.
summer we would take in at least two or three Shakespeare plays, maybe one non-Shakespeare play. I remember going to Cyrano de Bergerac, and yeah, it was great. But my favorite big time stage production that I've seen was Phantom of the Opera. I've seen it twice on stage. Just
Weber.
yeah, yeah. That dude's brilliant. um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a great and influential show.
oh
You
yeah,
know. So
yeah,
good.
definitely.
So
And
good.
I've yet to read the book. I have not read the Phantom of the Opera yet, but I want
Yeah.
to. So.
I read it last year when I was like starting to kind of like trying to collect Universal monsters because he falls into that pantheon
Mhm.
as well. I thought it was really good. It's got it felt like a more of a murder mystery kind of style book.
Yeah,
And when I was studying, the guy's name was Gaston Leroux, I believe.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, and when I was
Yes.
looking at his bibliography,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, when I was reading his bibliography, it looked like he was pretty heavy into writing like detective style books. And that was another one that was kind of like turn of the century, like 1890s. But yeah, it did feel like that. A lot of those gothic horror books, uh, like I just read Moby Dick, which I consider gothic horror. It definitely checks off all the boxes.
Yeah,
And Dracula. A lot of them are about characters experiencing the monster without the monster really being present very often.
right.
And uh, yeah, I think like now I expect it, but I think like the first few times I would read these books, I'm just like, man, I really wish there was more monster in this. It's a lot of guys talking about it. Um, but yeah, I think the book is pretty good. It's totally worth reading.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to get to it one of these days for sure. Low
It's
budget
pretty
usually
short.
means that people have to get creative with how the money's spent. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that probably makes it a lot better in so many ways because
There's a heartfeltness to that when you having to like create, under budget.
yeah,
Totally, 100%, Jenny, 100%.
yeah. That did annoy me about Dracula for a book about yeah, that's true. He wasn't in it very much.
Yeah, and it was the same with Moby Dick. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys just like talking about this whale. Oh my gosh, and it's like 600 bloody pages. You're just like, oh my gosh, we're gonna talk about this whale for 600 pages.
Right.
With Dracula, I mean, at least in Dracula, and I remember saying this not too long ago. It was like, at least in Dracula, you had that opening section with Harker. So you
Yeah.
got to like be introduced to Dracula. You got to see him in some scenes where he was present. But then once, the Lucy story started, you're just like, he's just kind of part of the atmosphere. He's just, this dark presence that you don't really get to interact with much.
Right.
A lot of aftermath. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But it's still worth the read. So I'm glad I read it.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I tried to take some elements from Dracula and put it into Disco Dracula, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I thought was interesting is that Dracula is like a hardcore stickler for paperwork.
Mhm.
He has lawyers, he has his real estate guys, you know what I mean? Like Harker was one of several, right?
Yeah.
Knows the harbor masters. He knows exactly how to ship himself and his earth, from here to there. He's very good at paperwork. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I thought was really interesting. I was just like, yeah, Dracula knows his contracts. He knows how to like wheel and deal and make sure he gets what he needs.
Yeah.
Be like weird and specific about it. So I tried to add that into the show where my guy was like all weird about, leasing and his liquor license and stuff like that, like talking about like fire hazards and stuff, like fire codes and stuff like that. So like he would just like randomly just kind of like we gotta deal with this kind of shit,
Right.
or just making sure everything is copacetic and in the right spots. Which is interesting because it kind of like goes to some of the old vampire lore, that vampires are very like OCD, right? Like there was part of the old lore is that like you can get away from a vampire by throwing a fistful of rice at it, because they'll have to stop and count each individual grain to know how many grains of rice just got thrown at them, and then you can escape, the vampire, right?
That's
So like
great.
that kind of stuff, which I think is hilarious, when you think about it. But the fact that he's like that doesn't surprise me. That he's just like, no, the signatures must be correct, and you know what I mean? Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. An immortal pencil pusher.
Sounds like pure hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and then Dracula, he's not a terribly sexy guy. You know what I mean? He's not. The romanticism was all stuff added later. Like Lugosi made him sexy.
Right.
Because even Nosferatu, he's not a sexy Dracula. He's all gnarly and that kind of stuff. Whereas like the sexiness came in later when Lugosi kind of pushed that narrative. But in the book itself, he's kind of like a weird little hobgoblin. He's got this unibrow. He's always kind of hunched and kind of abrasive and stuff like that. So like, and that's what I also tried to bring to this Dracula, was him being a little like, the sexiness that I put into it was purely when he was in like disco mode, just dancing and like that kind of stuff. And because I remember getting there's a lot of like rando comments were like, damn it, Adam, that was freaking sexy. That's like one of the sexiest things I've seen you do, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I was like, hey, all right, that's great,
I need to see more of the Dracula adaptations. I really do.
Yeah, and I watch like all of them, or as many as I can get my hands on.
Yeah, my buddy keeps telling me that I need to watch the Netflix one.
Oh, that BBC one that recently came out?
Yeah.
It's got like the nun in it. That's sort of like a main protagonist. It is so good.
Is it?
It really is good. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like Dracula, but it's got the adaptation is so good. I really liked it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I've been told it's something I need to see. So.
Yeah, and the guy that plays Dracula in that he's great. Everything in that is great. Like I love the adaptation, like what they did with all the characters. And, yeah.
Cool. The Strain trilogy by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay. That weren't good looking. Correct. Nice. Yeah. I didn't realize those were books. I watched the first season of the series, which I liked a lot.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a series made of that.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was books. It was like closer to the end of it when I saw that it was adapted from books, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll read those. And I haven't read them.
Okay.
But, yeah.
The only thing I've seen from Del Toro is Pan's Labyrinth, which was brilliant. And we started watching Cabinet of Curiosities. We haven't finished it yet, but
I liked it. Yeah, I like that short horror style stuff. Like, I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's some great guest stars in it. Yeah, Guillermo del Toro is pretty great. I just watched his Pinocchio on Netflix.
Oh,
I really enjoyed it.
Yes, I want to see that. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, stop motion Pinocchio. It's very Guillermo del Toro. I really like. He likes to insert history into a lot of the stuff that he does, and there's some moments where it was like, oh, I almost rolled my eyes. I was like, oh my God, Del Toro! Like it's this is such a Del Toro show. But it was still wonderful. Like it's really, really good. And Pinocchio is something that I've been reading a lot more about, and I've been enjoying it because I've been doing those comics with Pinocchio and Mr. Hyde. So I've been like enjoying like the darker side of Pinocchio, especially like some of the original literature with him.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. It's really good stuff. All those old world children's books and literature, just like lined with horrors, a lot of like, better behave or utter horror will rain down upon you.
Right.
All right then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love your zines. The Pinocchio and Mr. Hyde. I think that's a great mashup. I really
Yeah,
do.
it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Yeah, I've been working on some other stories. Like the one that I'm doing that you're reading is the one that's kind of set in France and it's happening around the Murders in the Rue Morgue by
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, that's a great
But
story.
yeah, I mean, but speaking of Dracula, so I've been working on one that's set on the Demeter.
Mhm.
And then I just saw that they're about to do a Demeter movie now, but it was going to be Pinocchio and Mr. Hyde are going to be on the ship during Dracula's uh, um, transport from Transylvania to London
Yeah.
on the Demeter boat. And yeah, I had like a cool little story kind of written up. I'm still going to do it, but yeah, I thought it was kind of cool that we had a zeitgeist with the whole Dracula thing. A whole bunch of vampire stuff happened in the last year and a half. A lot of vampire stuff that has like club and dancey kind of elements too. Like that last season of What We Do in the Shadows
Oh
happened,
yeah, that was great.
Enfield movie, and then and now this Voyage of the Demeter. I can't remember what it's called, but it's
Yeah,
about the voyage
the
of the.
last voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, that's what it is called. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Um,
it
but
looks so good, and I love Liam Cunningham. He's one
nice.
of my
Yeah,
favorite
he's awesome.
actors.
He's awesome. Yeah, he's such
So
a heartfelt character in Game of Thrones. That's what we're
yeah,
talking about. The Onion
yeah, yep,
Knight. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. The
Yeah, he
guy
was
that
great.
plays Davos.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of my favorite characters in Game of Thrones.
Me too.
Like just yeah, such a great voice of reason. Good actor.
Hmm.
Just solid, solid. He was one of those guys that I was always kind of excited to see. I knew there was going to be a lot of sword play around him, but like there was always like really good scenes with heavy gravity to it, and him just trying to like be as good a person as he can,
Yeah,
which seemed pretty rare in those stories. So like just seeing a guy who was just kind of wrestling with his honor and trying to like maintain honor around him. What a great character.
yeah, yeah. He really is a great character, and I mean, Tyrion is always my favorite in the books as well as the show. But yeah, yeah, I love Liam Cunningham as an actor. He's great.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I plan on reading him just because of some of the stuff that my friends who have read it are like, yeah, well, this, and the, you know what I mean, like the whole thing with the Stark, matriarch, the mother, like what actually goes down with her in the books. It's
Oh
just like, well,
yeah,
I need to read that. That sounds awesome. Why didn't that happen?
yeah, yeah. Completely different than the way she was handled in the show.
Totally, totally. And I
Yeah.
mean, that alone made me go, all right, well, maybe I'll have to read them now. I
Hmm.
want to know more about that. So that's cool.
Well, and the Red Wedding. I mean, in the book, it's like it's so visceral, and well, it is on the show too. But the Red Wedding was, oh my goodness, it tore me apart. And then when I saw the show for the first time, I'm like, okay, I've already read it. I know what's coming. I think I'll be okay. It tore me apart again. It was just, oh my goodness. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, that
Crazy.
that was wild.
Oh, I mean, it's totally,
What's that?
yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it's totally worth the read. And I,
Yeah,
I, I need to.
yeah,
Yeah. I like a lot of his influences.
yeah, definitely. There's a coffee table book that I've been wanting to get a hold of called the Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister. It just seems like something I need to have on my coffee table.
Right.
or next to my wine cabinet, that
So
so I can
I
drink
drink
of
and
all
I read
things.
things. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Liam Cunningham is in Dog Soldiers.
That's
Really?
right, he is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
you'll
hey,
recognize a lot of folks from Dog Soldiers.
okay. Yeah, I will definitely have to check that out then. I really like him. He's great. Yeah. In fact, he's actually my pick. I don't know. Have you read the First Law books?
Haven't read those yet.
So there's a character in there called Baez, and Liam Cunningham is actually my pick for Baez. If
Oh,
it
okay.
was ever to be adapted, I think he would make a perfect Baez.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Do you do
but
that often when you're reading? Do you like picture actors in their spots?
I totally do. Yeah, yeah. I do it all the time.
Right. So like when you read Dracula, you were picturing Oldman.
Yeah, and that unfortunately is because I'd already seen the movie. But like when I was reading the book, I'm like, I could totally see why they cast him in the role.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was a perfect casting.
Yeah. I mean, Oldman's just an amazing performer just in general.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he really is. And yeah, there's so many good actors out there, and I do often end up fan casting different books that I read.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
what if this
That's
were to be adapted? I'm kind of. Have you read any of Bernard Cornwell's stuff?
like what that name doesn't sound familiar. What
He wrote the Saxon series that was adapted into The Last Kingdom.
okay, no. I haven't read
Okay,
those.
yeah, so he wrote that, and he also wrote a trilogy of uh, Arthurian legend, more from a historical. Uh, he tried
Oh,
like a
okay.
historical fiction epic based on Arthur, and it was really well
Nice.
done. And they've
Was he a
they
Roman legionnaire in it?
what's that?
Was he a Roman legionnaire in it?
No, no, he is a warlord. He's a warlord in Britain, in old Britain, and yeah,
Nice.
but yeah, he actually rejects the mantle of king and everything, and it's very interesting. And they've made an adaptation of it, and I'm a little bit worried about it, but I
Oh, a film adaptation?
yeah, but I've looked at the casting for it, and so far everybody looks like what I pictured in the book. So
Right.
yeah, so I'm okay with it. And uh,
Yeah, I love Arthurian myth.
oh yeah,
I
me
think it's
too.
all great. Have you read the Once a Future King?
That's one I
C.H.
have not
White?
read yet. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
I
great.
want to read that one. I want to read La Morte d'Arthur. I want to read the Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I haven't read any of those.
I
But
haven't read Sir Gawain,
huh?
but I haven't read The Green Knight,
Okay.
but I have read Mort, and it feels more academic. Like it was really easy to not read it in order. Like I would peruse the contents and just like characters that interested me. I would just read that. So I'm not sure if I've read it in its entirety. I know I've read a lot of it, but I didn't start at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like it was easy to just read it as tales here and there. Like it's the same with a lot of those anthology style books, like Thousand and One Arabian Nights. Like I tried to start at the beginning, and I was just like, I'm gonna skip Sinbad. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that kind of stuff. And it was really easy to do because they're stories within stories, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Once a Future King is really really good. Like one of the things that I learned recently, and I'm almost like embarrassed to say, is that the portrayal of Morgan Le Fay as this evil, sister is largely false. There's a different sister that they've combined Morgan with in a lot of more recent adaptations.
Right.
But like it was like one of the last times I was going through my my Lamort, and I was just like, oh shoot, ooh, well there we go. I'm letting the movies tell me what the history is, and I was wrong.
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting. The Warlord Chronicles, the one I was telling you about, it paints a very different Morgan Le Fay, and yeah, it's very well done, and I'm very partial to the Mary Stewart books, um, the Merlin trilogy by Mary Stewart, the Crystal Cave, and the those. So that's a really good series. But I have to say, I'm a huge fan of the '80s movie Excalibur.
Dude,
It's a great
that
movie.
film, that film. I must have watched that thing a million times when I was a
Oh,
kid.
same.
I cannot hear Carmina Burana without thinking about shining armor and people getting hacked to pieces with Excalibur.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the guy who played Merlin was really great in that movie.
His name, but yes, every time I've seen him, he's an amazing performer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It seems like it's uh Nick. It's not Nikolai, but it's uh something Nickel. Yeah, I can't think of his name, but he was good.
yeah, he was
Hey,
brilliant.
Chadia's here. Hey, Chadia, how are you?
Hi.
I was recommended Spear by Nicola Griffith today. Okay.
Also Arthurian.
Yeah,
Okay, nice.
yeah. Yeah, so Chadia, meet Adam. Adam, Chadia. There
Hey,
you
John.
go.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Uh, I have a weakness for Arthurian retellings in all media. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
TV
So
series. I watched a few of those.
I need to
Yeah,
get back and finish that. I watched the first few episodes and I kind of dropped off, but I've heard it gets a lot better. So
yeah, yeah. I watched the first few, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can finish these. Uh, but like, it was one of those shows that was always on at my mom's house because she just could not get enough of them. So like, when I would go home to visit for Christmas, we ended up watching a lot.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, good show. Yeah, it was good. I mean, Excalibur is also the reason why I will always have a crush on Helen Mirren.
Oh yeah,
Morgan Le Fay was just so great, like a great combination of just like, yeah,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Helen Mirren's great in general. Yeah, she's just amazing.
yeah, well, yeah. What a cast,
Yeah,
man! Like, yeah, Patrick Stewart, um, Liam Neeson. Yeah, great movie. Nigel Terry will always be my King Arthur. Like every time I see or envision King Arthur, it is always Nigel.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. I can see why. Yeah. Ralph Bluetax did a very good video on Arthurian stories. I think I saw that video. Yeah, yeah, he did do a good job on that.
Very
Uh,
nice.
yeah, it's very cheesy with iffy special effects, but I love the casting and characters, Gwen and Merlin. Yeah, yeah,
The show. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, it should just kind of go back to me being like a guy who likes it when it's low budget and people are just being creative. I think I'm less forgiving when it comes to like TV, just because I always imagine they have like more money or whatever. But yeah, I should also be cooler because I think that was like a BBC production. Those guys definitely don't spend as much money than like American TV does.
yeah,
And it's usually pretty darn obvious.
yeah, yeah. That's true. They do try to keep a lower budget for sure. Yeah, but yeah, well, cool.
Such a good show.
Well, yeah, yeah. I was also curious. Your how long does it take you to film one of your speed art videos? It seems like there's a lot of work that goes into those.
Well, I mean, it kind of differs from piece to piece. Some pieces I can get done in a sitting, and a sitting is probably hour and a half to 2 hours. but some sittings or some of them have been like 2 or 3 sittings, so it's closer to like 5 or 6 hours of work. So yeah, it kind of varies. I would say between 2 and 5, unless I'm doing like a canvas piece, which I don't think you've gotten to see many of those. I think I have like one video with like a canvas piece in it.
Okay.
And those tend to take a little bit longer. They take a lot more planning, and there's less room for mistakes sometimes. But yeah, I mean, thereabouts 3 to 5, 3 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to crank. I used to be able to like crank out 2 in a day. I need to get back into that kind of mindset. I did this thing called like the 100 artworks challenge, like in 2016, and I've tried to do it. Like I'll start every year going, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. The last time I was successful was I think 2018 maybe. During COVID, like oh my gosh, like my brain was just smashed. I didn't. I have to be in a certain like mindset to be able to actually get any real good artwork done.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember at the beginning of lockdown, I was just like, oh man, I bet you I'm gonna get a bunch of writing done and a bunch of paintings. But like the uncertainty of everything just kept me out of my creative brain for the most part. Like it was just kind of numbing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Um, yeah, I didn't get a lot done. I ended up being really good at editing by the end of it because our theater company had to produce something because we get some of our funding from the city,
Yeah.
and these were contracts that we had to fulfill. So I ended up doing a bunch of like short video stuff, which I'm grateful for because it makes it a lot easier now for me to do like YouTube work because I learned how to edit a little bit better, a little bit faster, on some
Right.
shortcuts, that kind of stuff. Um, so I think that ended up being like the larger chunk of my time. I also went back and revisited a lot of cartoons. I like watched like all the old Transformers, all the old Thundercats, all the old Smurfs,
Yeah.
the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. I burned through those really fast.
Nice.
A lot of like old stuff. I got my hands on like some of the old '70s stuff, like the Herculoids
Yeah.
and yeah, old Space Ghost stuff like that. So definitely a lot of cartoon watching. I ended up watching Primal. Have you ever seen Primal?
I don't think I have.
You familiar with Kennedy Tartakovsky? He's an animator. He did Samurai Jack. Did you ever watch any Samurai
I,
Jack?
I haven't. I've heard of it though.
But he's this wonderful animator. He does this thing called Primal, which is set in like this primordial age. It's not, it's not at all accurate or anything.
Yeah.
But like, it's about this guy who's like a caveman who his family gets devoured by this dinosaur. And he becomes aimless and, broody dark. And he runs into this, he hunts that dinosaur. And when he finds it, that dinosaur has just eaten the children of this other dinosaur. Right. And
Yeah.
by the end of the first episode, they end up becoming like partnered after they slay this monstrous dinosaur. And it's one of those cartoons where like there's hardly any talking because the guy doesn't speak like English. He grunts and growls and stuff, right? And it's
Yeah.
just dinosaur snarls and stuff like that. So like it's beautiful storytelling because it's all done without language. Like it's just
Wow.
pictures, food, music. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite things. And when it gets brutal, oh my God, does it get brutal? Lots of just like cracking teeth and spears going through people's body. Yeah, it's great. I quite like it.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's epic. It was really really good. If you haven't seen Samurai Jack too, it was really good. It was one of the
Okay.
last things that Mako, he's a actor, Japanese actor that was in Conan the Barbarian,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
like the wizard, right? And he does the voice of the evil wizard in Samurai Jack. And it was like one of
Nice.
the last big projects that he was doing. But Yeah, so good. Good stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Jamie says Rings of Power got. I'm guessing some of the costumes from Merlin. That's
Man,
funny.
you are not the first person I've heard like talking about the costumes in Rings of Power. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, some of
Yes.
them did look previously used, so they were on a budget, weren't they? Arthur versus Dracula riding
What are
werewolf
you
in a
doing?
circle.
That's so great. Okay,
Oh,
that's your next. That's your next challenge there, Chaz. That's
right. That's my next challenge. So I've got to do that, and I've got to do a demon riding a dragon.
demon riding on a Dracula or on a dragon. A demon riding on a Dracula.
Yeah, right.
On his shoulders.
Yeah, and then we'll get you to do the art for it.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah.
Totally get what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There
it
was a
was.
lot of
That's what I'm
uncertainty
trying to
during
be.
COVID. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just mind numbing. It was a weird time.
It was a weird time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, cool. Well, it's getting close to 2 hours. I'm cool going longer if you want to, but I know you've got your schedule and stuff going too, and I'm. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about or share with us? Stuff you've got coming up?
Uh, I mean, only that I am probably going to be doing a lot more speed art here because that's kind of what's in the queue right now. Um, Me and Bad as Rad did that art battle
Yeah,
video, did, and we did it with Pax Panic as our guest judge.
yeah,
And yeah, there's like this kind of like, I want this to be really good. And I ended up painting like 4 paintings and then picked the one that I thought was the coolest as the one that I featured in the video.
yeah.
But then like I've got these other paintings and I did speed art for all of them. So that's kind of what's in my queue right now is I'm probably going to do the speed art for all of those. So they're all very green heavy and horror inspired. And yeah, I think I'm going to just release those here in as a little trilogy tribute to PAX. Yeah.
That's
I'm excited
awesome.
about that.
That was so sad.
Yeah.
I'm oh
Totally, totally.
she
Yeah.
went so fast. Like once we got the announcement, it was just
Total bummer. And like it sucks. I know for like her close friends, and I had just kind of started like getting to know Pax, and I was just like, darn, yeah, it was a darn shame. I got to talk to her a little bit on like Messenger, and I remember like I was trying to like offer some kind of just an escape or whatever, just trying to like, hey, making jokes and whatever else, and but like the conversation ended with her being helpful to me. You know what I mean? Like she was
yeah,
just like, oh, I'm glad I could help with this and that. I'm like, gosh, you're such a nice person. Oh my gosh, this is I don't want this to be
right.
happening to nice people.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I felt the same way. I'm like, yeah, the nicest people seem to get the raw deal, and it's yeah,
but I am trying to build a tag, right?
mhm,
That's how I met Nicole, right? I was
right,
trying to do a heavy metal tag,
yeah,
and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this hardcore metal tag. It'll be so great. But I was like, well, let me check and see if there's one that's already out there. And the first one I found was Nicole's,
yeah,
which was awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I did that one. And I found another one. Her name is Emma Lyrical, and she did a really cool metal tag, and I did that one too. But I'm probably gonna build up my own metal tag, do a little different,
yeah.
and release that as well here in the near future. So I'm kind of excited about doing that too. So
That's exciting.
that'll be my first tag. So I'll be releasing that into the universe at some point as well.
Yeah.
And I've got a few other books in the queue that I need to review. Um, I read The Ballad of Black Tom, which was really good.
Oh yeah, love
I
it.
want to do a review for Guards, and then I reread Frankenstein in January, and I want to do a review on that.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, looking forward to it. So I got plenty of stuff to do. I just need to bloody do it, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see your new speed art videos and to watch your review for the Ballad of Black Tom. That's one of my favorite novellas.
Yeah, it was really good, and I read it, and then I immediately went and read the Horror at Red Hook
Yeah,
right
me too.
afterwards because it's based off of Horror. So I wanted to see like where what's his name, Victor
Yeah,
LaVey, something like that, where he kind of filled in the more nebulous parts of Lovecraft's version of the story, which I thought was pretty interesting. I was just like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about here because this is the part where Laval did this and this, you know.
right.
So it was pretty cool just being able to compare and contrast both of the works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I did that as well. I read the Horror at Red Hook afterward, first time I'd ever read it. And I definitely like Black Tom better. I think it's a much better story, and it's also a much better uh, a much more inclusive story, we'll say.
100%.
Yeah,
I think that's why he picked Horror at Red Hook because it's the one that's just so overtly like, man, dude,
yeah,
your xenophobia is all over the bloody place.
it is. Yeah, and I really want to read The Changeling as well. That's one of his that I want to read.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
definitely down for reading more Laval. I think he's really good.
yeah,
I like the way he can deal with racist elements in his narratives, and I'm 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 totally there for it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like sometimes I'll read like there have been times where I've read like even King where I'm just like, you might have been able to present this a little better. You know, I mean, I love you, man. You're great. I love reading your stuff. You could have presented this a little better. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
agree. Yeah, there were some cringe
Definitely,
moments for me too. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, it was really great. So I'm totally down with reading more. The Changeling. All right, I'm gonna put that down.
yeah, definitely.
Changeling.
Let's see. Chadia
Nice.
says small mini demon on a bat. Oh, I like that one. Okay,
Okay.
that's a
Gimme.
that's a good idea.
I mean, come on, that's so great. I want
Yeah,
it.
that could be a new cozy fantasy. Yeah, I like it. That's a great idea.
Is cozy fantasy just like a new thing that's starting to come
I
around?
think it
Like,
is. It needs to be anyway.
is that that kind of the legends and lattes sort of
Mhm.
phenomenon? You know? No, I like
Yeah,
that a lot. I think that's yeah, just kind of like fantasy that doesn't take itself too damn seriously. You know,
yeah,
but
exactly.
allows for yeah a little bit of joy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what made the first Law series. At least I haven't read beyond the first trilogy, but I think that's what made it so good. Is there was a lot of heavy action and dark themes and stuff in it, but there was so much
Yeah,
great humor to offset it. And
totally. Okay,
yeah,
that's good to know. That's
yeah.
good to know.
How do you guys
Yeah,
handle British humor? You seem to prefer more optimistic humor over the pessimistic that we love.
don't get me
I like
wrong.
both. Yeah,
I love me some pessimism. Do
yeah.
not get me wrong. I quite like it. Like I'm a hardcore like old Monty Python fan.
Oh
So like
yeah, yeah. Monty Python is great.
biting wit. You know what I mean? Like that makes sure that everybody's a little angry with them by the end of it. You know what I mean? I was
Right?
like, yes, give me more. You know. Yeah. To this day, I still watch some of their old Flying Circus stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's one, and I'm pretty sure it was a Monty Python skit. Paying for an argument.
Oh, right. Yeah, the Argument
Yeah,
Clinic.
the argument. That I laugh so hard every time I watch it.
Right,
I
right.
just can't stop watching it. It's so much fun. And yeah, I like a lot of British humor. Like
Totally.
Johnny English is one of my favorite movies.
Nice.
And yeah, there's
Rowan Atkinson is probably one of the best physical
oh
performers
yeah,
alive, easily.
totally.
His body work is amazing.
Yeah.
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 That's why we get so many British actors and Australian actors in American film. It's like these guys actually study like body work and character work and stuff like that. Whereas
Right.
a lot of our American counterparts tend to be guys that are like, I'm just this dude who's really good at being this dude. And they end up just kind of playing themselves and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get a cat like Ullman over here who can like turn from Dracula to the next guy to Rosencrantz to whatever the hell else. You know what I mean? Like, and different guys every time, different mannerisms, different voices.
Right.
Like, amazing character work. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Definitely. Okay, I'll write it, Chadi, and I'll give you credit for the idea. I promise.
Yeah, yeah. Is that the tiny demon on the bat?
The tiny
Doing
demon
it.
on the bat. Yeah, that sounds like a winner. Yeah.
Oh,
Good Omens for sure. Adam hasn't read it yet, but
yes.
I've read it twice physically and once with audiobook, and I've seen the show like at least twice. And season 2 is coming out. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for season
Yeah, I'm
2.
totally psyched about that.
Yeah.
Did you see? They did a version of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. There
They
was like a
did?
first season of that.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was on. I want to say it was like on Amazon Prime somewhere. But
Okay.
like I saw the first season and I was just like, oh my god, please give me more of this. I hope they
Cool. That
they
so
finish it out.
Dirt Gently was written by what's that?
Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams.
That's
Okay, yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was so good. It was just weird absurdity mixed with like. It's one of the things that I've always loved about Douglas Adams, and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about my Commedia troupe. Is like he finds places to be totally grounded, so that all of this nutty stuff that goes on has extra weight.
Right.
And Hitchhiker did that with Dent. Dent is so monstrously grounded that all the craziness has that extra weight. And I think
Yeah.
Dirk Gently was doing the same in the Holistic Detective Agency stuff. Yeah,
Well,
brilliant work.
I've not read them, but I'll have to check them out, and I would love to try the show as well. And yeah, very exciting. Yeah, season 2 comes out next month. I think it's July 21st. I think.
Yeah. I've been seeing previews for it, and I was like, just shut up and give it to me.
Yeah. But what I really thought was cool was Neil Gaiman partnered with a YouTuber for the release date of for announcing the release date of season 2.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So they had done a parody of Good Omens, and so he reached out to them and said, "Hey, let's expand your parody and announce the release date at the end." And so he actually came on and he was part of the expanded video and announced the release date and everything. It was great.
Gaiman is such a good
He
guy.
is a
Like
good
every
guy.
single interview, every single time I've seen him or read an interview, he just seems like a really good cat. Like what a great guy.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. It was
That's
a
awesome.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Super cool. Nice.
Let's
Yeah.
see that.
Well, I'm psyched for that as well.
The Hillywood parody of Good Omens. I think that was the one. Yeah, I think it was Hillywood. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I might have to check that out. That's cool. That's on YouTube, I guess.
yeah. They're on YouTube and they're excellent. They've got a lot of great parodies on there.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome. Give me more.
Well,
Awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up. I think, unless you had more you wanted to share, or anybody else has any other questions for Adam, um, feel free to post those now. I have to say, guys, this dude has some solid creative juice. So please check out his channel. Everything is linked below. Check out his website. You can buy his art online. You can buy his zines online. You can't buy him online, but you can reach out to him and, maybe you should get a bobblehead done of yourself, man. That
Well,
right?
that'd be great.
Funko Pop, something like that. Uh,
Like a screensaver, just
a
really doing.
screensaver. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
What I wouldn't give for 10 minutes inside Neil Gaiman's head. Oh yeah. What I wouldn't give for 10 minutes to have coffee with the guy. I'd start drinking coffee again just to have it with Neil. But
Yeah, totally.
yeah, the chaos in his mind has got to be top notch. Yeah. So it's
It needs a
midnight.
lot of
Oh,
mythology.
yeah, midnight over there. Time for bed. Okay. I did link it. Yeah, his links are all in the description below, so you can check him out. And I hope you do, Chadia. He's awesome.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really glad we could connect, and I hope to have you on again. And uh,
Yeah, totally,
yeah,
totally. This is great to actually be able to like speak in real time
yeah,
with folks that I'm meeting on YouTube. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me, man.
yeah. You're welcome. Glad to do it, and I hope everybody has a great day. Read more books, and see you guys on the flip side.
Later, y'all.
Bye. Let's see here.